Hey designers, today I am here with Annette Lennerup. She is a speaker actually in our illustration and art conference that we did in February. We're so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Carina. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to be on your podcast to tell you exciting stuff about what I'm going to talk about on the summit.
Yes, so great. So actually this is coming out after our summit, but if you want to grab your VIP ticket, we're going to make sure and put Annette's link directly in her affiliate link so that you guys can check it out. But let's for sure talk about it. So what did you speak about in our summit?
So I'm going to teach about how to make repeat pattern in Illustrator, since I am like you, but not so much fabric, but I'm a fashion designer who also do then repeat textiles a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to teach.
So we're going to dig into a little bit of this because Annette has a very interesting background. First of all, she just told me she's actually from Sweden, but she's currently living in Spain. So will you tell us a little bit about your international moving all about the place? Because I think this is very
Yes.
interesting.
For sure. Well, I am Swedish originally. I lived in Sweden until I was about 20. And then I moved to London with my then boyfriend, now husband. So we were only moving for a year, but we got stuck there and stayed for, I think it was 5 years, got married, moved back to Sweden, but realized it's now too cold for us. So we moved back to the UK. And then we stayed in the UK for a long time, had two kids. And with kids in London, because we lived in London, there's a lot of commuting, a lot of traveling. So we decided, I mean, I was an entrepreneur working from home after I had kids. So I had more flexibility, but it was still harder when you had kids. So we decided to move to sunny Spain. And yeah, so we moved here 6 years ago and had another kid. So we've got a whole mix of languages going on at home every day.
That is amazing and so incredible. So you've got three kids at home and you are in fashion design. So will you tell us, like, how did you get started in fashion? Did you go to college or university for it? And then how you ended up in surface pattern design?
Yeah, sure. So I always dreamt about being a fashion designer when I was little. Like me and my best friend, we used to sit and draw and pretend we were designers. So it started already there. But then growing up in Sweden, it wasn't the biggest fashion industry. So instead, I studied graphic design and became a graphic designer. But when I moved to London, I was like, here, there's so many art schools, I can pursue it. So whilst I was working in graphic design, I also did a degree, but part-time. So I was studying in the weekends and in the evenings. So I could do fashion design as well. And
Yeah.
I think that's where it came in, like the whole textiles and surface pattern design was always there during my fashion career. So having kids made me go more that way.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you have like such a mix because the two do intermingle. Because it is funny, sometimes people ask, like when I say I'm a designer, they're like, what kind of designer? And so, well, it's tricky. Like, do you tell people you're a fashion designer or a graphic designer, Annette?
I usually say fashion designer,
Okay.
but to be honest, I mean, as you say, it's a mix. And also, when you're an entrepreneur, you create so many other things. It feels like you're a web designer, you're a leaflet designer, you're everything. But I do say usually fashion and textile designer, and I think textile is easier to say since I do more textiles, but also surface pattern designer. A lot of people don't understand what it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, it's so funny. The word surface pattern designer, I really didn't love that term. And I still am not a big fan of it. I usually tell people I'm a fabric and craft designer because I do
Yeah, that's
think it is a very interesting word. But I mean, I guess it does I don't know, it does describe a lot of what we do, right? Because your stuff can end up on gift wrap. It can end up on basically any kind of surface out there. Wallpaper. I do a lot of wallpaper, but it's so funny because I still don't really think of myself as a surface pattern designer. Do you?
no, no, I feel more like a textile designer in that, but as you say, that definitely can. And I just today completed a course in repeat patterns for a sticker membership. So because they also want to learn about doing repeat patterns, so it actually, as you say, works on all surfaces. It's a very useful tool, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So you're in Spain now. Will you say some of the things that you're working on right now, projects you're working on? Are you teaching? I mean, you're clearly teaching in our conference and you're teaching for other conferences, but like, are you also designing for anything right now?
I am designing. I am at the moment designing slightly less because I have started a mentoring program. So I've been mentoring a lot of actually surface pattern designers. I thought I would mentor fashion brands, but it has become, I think, more surface pattern designers than fashion brands. But it's really exciting. And I think because I've been in the industry for 20 years, now I feel like I nearly get more kicks out of seeing what other people do. But the last things I have designed has been a bit of kids wear and a swimwear that launched just recently.
That's so awesome. Did you do the textiles for it? Or are you also doing the sewing patterns for those?
Yeah, I do. I actually call myself product developer as well, because I do a lot of the brands I work with nowadays are startups rather than the bigger brands, which I used to work with in the early days or mid days of my career. So now I usually help people from design idea and the whole concept and the fashion designs, the tech packs, the textiles if they want it and need it, or prints, and also I do grading for the patterns and all that, and then talk to the factories and fit the samples. So I do like the whole concept.
Yeah,
And
like from
those are the
start to
clients I
finish.
take on.
Okay, so like from start to finish, really like
Yeah,
helping
totally.
smaller businesses get from point A to
Yeah,
point
to
B.
finish production in hand. So
Yeah. Do you like that process?
I love it, but it is a hard process. It's a lot harder than any brand thing. So that's why I think it's quite, I wanted to go more into mentoring, because every brand I come across, everyone's like, I want my production in 2 months or 3 months. And you're like, that is impossible. You haven't even started designing yet, right? So so I think that's where suddenly I was like, I really want to like teach people as well how to do it and
Yeah.
how to
So
do it
kind of
well.
teaching them how to fish so that you're not doing it for them, right?
Yes.
Out of curiosity, how long does it take you? Like, because I'm not in fashion design, even though we
Mm-hmm.
do sewing patterns, we've never taken a clothing item to production. We take dishware and those kinds of things to production, but we've
Yeah.
never taken clothing items to production. What's a general timeline in the fashion world from start to design to all the way to actually getting the pieces at your house or warehouse?
Mm. I mean, I would say count with a minimum of 6 months. If you have lots of contacts and you've done it many times, you can speed that up to maybe 4 months at the best, really. If you're a smaller designer, I mean, big brands, that's another story. But I think for a lot of startups, it takes a lot longer than that, because they don't know what they want and there's a lot more changes going on. So I try to recommend 6 months, but because no one wants it to take longer, but it can take a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you, so you recommend it to like a brand if they're working on something like that, but
Mm.
how do you help them through that process? Because they probably want the look, but are they also helping build the sewing patterns, or are you building those for them? Or are you working with the
Yeah,
manufacturers?
I usually work with the manufacturer. I mean, I can make patterns, but I don't really do it anymore. So I kind of work with writing. So I decide with the measurements that are going to go and be the patterns, and I grade it as well for the different sizes. But I give the numbers that I've figured out to the factory in a size specification, we call it, a sheet with everything, and then they do it, and I get the samples. And when I get a sample in, I have to have a fit model and put it on and go and check, like, oh no, that doesn't match up with what I wanted, or the pattern is wrong, or like tweak all the pattern pieces and then communicate with them again. And it's a process of usually 3 samples before you get there.
Yeah, that sounds about, I mean, it's not quite to that extent with textiles. So I don't know. Tell me your textile background. Let's dig into that for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, so my textile background is having created, so for larger brands, but also for these startups, I created the prints and the repeat patterns to go on textiles. But usually it's part of this 6 month process that I take them through. So I first go and do the designs of the garments and the prints or patterns. And then that is a step where we do check the lab dips that we get in for colors and all that, and the Pantone's reference. But that is one of the small parts that slots in.
That's amazing. And so when you're mentoring people about their surface pattern design, exactly what are you teaching them?
Yeah, mainly with the surface pattern designers, it is designers who want to break into the industry and setting up their businesses. I think there's since I've been in business so long, and I think I'm sure you as well, like we all get very excited about teaching, and you have to learn about marketing, and you have all these aspects that you put onto your business. So a lot of times we go anywhere from building up your portfolio to finding your clients and pitching, but we also go through like marketing and how to use it and other things that go into it. So it's very all around business.
That's awesome. That's so incredible. So do you have a year-round program where people can join anytime, or is it just certain dates?
No, I've got two things at the moment. I've got group mentoring, which starts. So I had one that started in the autumn, and I'm planning one that starts now, hopefully in February. And then it's once a week, but 3 times a month, really,
Okay.
for 6 months.
Okay.
Or I do one-to-one. So there's quite a lot of one-to-one, and then it's 2 to 3 times a month when it suits the two of us.
So amazing. What advice would you give out there to anybody who's wanting to break into the surface pattern industry?
Yeah, I think with anything you do, anything in business really, is to do a lot of research and learning. That's why I think like this whole online teaching is amazing. Like take courses, learn, and also obviously be creative. If you want to be a designer and you want to be a surface pattern designer, draw every day. I won't say I do that, but I will say that it's a recommendation to everyone else. Like you should draw a lot and also learn. It's not only about creating a beautiful pattern. It's also about sticking in there and actually not giving up.
Yeah, wonderful. I love it so much. If people want to learn more about you, Annette, where should they go?
Yes, so I've got 2 websites. One is more focused on the surface pattern design and mentoring and my own design business, which is www.lennerup.com. So it's Lennerup, so my surname. And then I have another one, which is where I host my courses, and there's a lot of fashion tips and tricks in there, and that's fashiondesign.tribe.com.
Fashion Design Tribe. I'm just writing it down so that we make sure and put it in the show notes so you guys can go check it out. Annette, it's been so lovely having you on. I think this is really fun. I don't think I've ever had a fashion designer on before. My little sister is a fashion designer. I've never even had her on before. So this is so cool, especially because you really are doing textiles along with it and kind of mixing and matching those up. And I know that the people who are taking from you are probably just loving all the information that you're giving them about business, which is so fun. Thanks so much for coming on. We will make sure and give you guys these notes in the show notes, and come check her out in our illustration art conference. Even if it's already passed, we have an all access pass, so you can get the replays for it if you want to purchase those. And we will see you soon.